What is even the difference in your gains between 6 to 10 sets versus 10 to 20? Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. This is something that came up in one of my live streams. Someone had asked me that. They had said, Jason, you're doing a lot more volume. You're in that, really about that 15 to 20 set per muscle group range right now. You've said that a lot of your clients run 6 to 10. You've said 6 to 10 can give us most of our gains. So what's the point of running more? And I think that's a more than fair question. And here's what it comes down to. It's going to be context specific. Very, very context specific. Because I always tell people, obviously, when it comes to training volumes, we only grow from the volume that we recover from. Okay? So we do need to be clear on that. Now, also keeping in mind when we get into the category of body composition, this becomes a really big deal. Okay? And I'll get to that a little later into the video. But up front, because 6 to 10 has been consistently shown in all the studies to be capable of giving pretty good muscle growth. Okay. Now, I've seen some newer studies and people claiming it's only 50% or 60% of what you could gain. I doubt that it is really that low. Again, just an observation over the years as a coach. I don't think it's going to be only 50%. Now, my opinion, I could be wrong and the data may prove me wrong. But the point that we would make, let's assume that it is. Let's assume even that data is correct at 50 to 60%. Will it be consistent? And can most people recover from it? Okay? And I think that is kind of an important point. People with a suboptimal lifestyle can do 6 to 8 sets, really hard sets, and do pretty good. Okay, just in terms of overall muscle growth. And that's one of the reasons a lot of my dad bod clients, because what do we think of with the dad bod clients too? Most of them have young kids. A lot of my clients who are in that category too, they've got fairly young kids, sometimes new kids, newborn baby. This really affects your sleep. It will affect your recovery. It's going to affect stuff. Or for a lot of my clients, I have clients who work 60, 70, 80-hour work weeks, right? And it's not about the physically demanding jobs. That's the funniest thing. I've know people with physically demanding jobs who can handle high workloads because their body is just used to the stress of it. So there's your context for that. So that's not even what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about the long hours, the mental fatigue, all of that stuff, right? And then when you think about it, doing 20 sets of muscle group, if you work 60 plus hours a week, that's a lot of gym time. It's a lot of gym time. So you have to think in those terms too. What are we looking at? Unless you're taking really short breaks and doing just a lot of pump work, which is viable, that does work. We can do that. Really short times, but even then, we're getting our volumes very high. You're looking at a lot of gym time. So in that case, a lot of those people, that works great because they can always recover from it, right? I can take my clients who really are going through stressful stuff, newborn baby over time. They're in a non-optimal environment. I can put them on a 3-day-a-week push-pull legs with 6 really hard sets, programmed correctly, and they'll still make gains, and that's the difference. Okay, they will make gains through those periods of time. And as long as they're consistently making gains, we're good. Because that's the other thing. We shouldn't have plateaus, right? We're wanting to avoid plateaus. We want to at least gain something all the time. You should either be gaining muscle or losing fat pretty much every month your entire training career until, you get so old that your hormone profile interferes, and that happens even with people on stuff. So we should be seeing at least continual progress for years, decades, right? At least something. This allows us to see some gains no matter what, and it does work, and that's the idea. And a lot of people look at that and go, okay, well, that's superior. No, it's not superior. That's why I said it's context specific. If it's only 60% of your possible gains, it's nowhere near superior. Like, that's a silly idea. It's less. Is it better for a person's lifestyle potentially? Well, yeah, a lot of really busy people, if they could make year-round gains with low injuries, low fatigue, all this stuff, when they're working a ton of overtime and other stuff happening in their life, that is valuable to them. All right, when it comes to pursuing maximum muscle growth, we're going to start talking 10 to 15, maybe up to 20 sets. Certain smaller muscles we could argue pushing beyond. There's that data is, I think questionable. But if they're hard sets, and it's definitely your weak points, like let's say someone like me, biceps. I've taken my biceps past 20 sets a week. Now, a lot of that is band work, right? A lot of that's band work to go past 20. Not quite the same as doing barbell curls. So in that case, yeah, it may make sense for things that are truly weak points to really get in and hammer that extra pump work. The other thing to think about is going to be complete development. All right, we can argue all that we want about good muscle growth, but you're always going to have a higher potential for lagging heads, less exercise variation, all that stuff. Right, if we're doing only 6 sets. And a lot of people counter that by going, well, I do 3 different exercises. Well, okay, 3 different exercises for each muscle to failure and the 2 sets of each, that can be viable in that situation, right? That can be viable. But unless you were doing something like that, you're always going to have heads of muscles lagging. You're going to have development issues in different places more. When we're able to incorporate more exercises and more angles with all of that volume, we are able to get more complete development. And that's kind of the whole idea. If we're trying to really maximize stuff, we don't want glaring weaknesses. I still have some from my powerlifting days that I'm still bringing up with all this small work, right? I have some imbalances. I have some muscles that are not caught up. We can see them even looking at me. But we then look at that and go, how serious of goals are you pursuing? Okay. For a person whose goals are they are pursuing absolute best that they can be, and they have the time commitment and the recovery to get away with the volume, yeah, going up into that 15 to 20 set range makes sense. Maybe having some muscles that go beyond that can make some sense in that environment if their recovery allows for it. Then we come to the other thing of there's a point where we can straight up use it to burn body fat. Okay, we know this based on the research now. Yes, lifting weights is just as good as cardio for burning through body fat and fat loss, but we're getting the added benefit of it potentially maybe building a little more muscle in there somewhere, so better recomposition. Again, if we're trying to maximize things, right? And in theory, a person trying to get even really ripped could do tons of training volume and not bother with cardio if they wanted it. I do both. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.